What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today, we have a special guest. He is in the real estate business, residential and commercial. He has sold over $337 million with One Street Co. Help us welcome the Millennials' number one choice realtor, Omer Reshid. What's up, brother?
What's up, guys? How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Doing great, man.
Doing awesome, man. Doing awesome. So, I know you just you said you're recently now in Miami, right?
Yeah. I literally just got back 2 days ago.
How's it been so far?
So far, so good. Real quick, I want to clarify. My team sold set 30 million. I wish it was just me, but it was my whole team. Just want to throw that out there. But Miami was great. Miami was amazing. We just opened up an office down there, so we were just recruiting agents. We got a new office space, but it was a great time. I love the energy down there.
Awesome, brother. Awesome to hear. So let's dive into it. You know, how'd you get into the real estate space? You know, what intrigued you? And, maybe walk us a little bit through that process from when you first started to where you're at today.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for me, real estate was never something I thought I would go into. I didn't really know what it was. I was actually going to the George Washington University right here in Washington, D.C. for pre-med. So I didn't have any type of, real estate in mind. But it wasn't until my freshman year of college, I was sitting in my dorm room. It was mid-COVID 2020. And I was just extremely bored. I really wasn't interested in my biology classes and all that good stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let's see what else is out there. What are the other options? And all over just my Instagram, TikTok, real estate, everyone's just talking about real estate. And I was like, you know what? Let me look into this. What is this really about? I don't even know the different branches that were there, brokerages, commercial, residential, whatever. I didn't know what it really meant to be in real estate. So I just searched up, I was like, you know what, let me see what's around me. So I searched up best real estate firm near me. And I was just scrolling, and the number one search result was the One Street Company. And they were the number one team in Washington, D.C. for 9 years in a row. And I was like, you know what, let me check them out. Checked out their website, Instagram, all that. They looked really dope. I was like, you know what, these people are really cool. And I went ahead and found out who, the president and founder was, Samer Kuraishi. And I just cold emailed him. I was like, hey, man, I don't know much about real estate, but my name is Omer Reshid. I'm a freshman at George Washington University. Would love the chance to work for you for free. I'll do your social media. I see you guys have really good SEO optimization because they were the number one search results. I had a marketing internship, so I talked to him a little bit about that. And I told him, hey, I'll come do your social media for free, get you coffee, whatever you need. I just wanted a chance to learn about real estate and just be in your presence and in your team. And surprisingly enough, he emailed me back an hour later. He was like, hey, man, no one's emailed me like this before. Come on down. Let's talk. So literally the very next day, it was a Sunday night, Monday morning, I went to his office. I was waiting for him in the lobby. He finally came in and I was like, hey, I'm Omar. Nice to meet you. And he had no idea who I was. He's like, who? And I'm like, oh, I'm that kid that emailed you, yada, yada. And he was like, oh, you're actually here. I don't really have anything planned out for you, but you can just hang out with me and, just see what I do. I was like, that sounds great to me. Hang out with the CEO of a multi-million-dollar real estate company. I was like, yeah, that's perfect for me. So I just started hanging out with him all day, just followed him throughout his development sites, throughout his client meetings, just watching him run, full-on commercial and residential brokerage. And this man was just getting over, literally, I'm not exaggerating, over 1,000 emails every day. And that same day, I see him getting all these emails, and this man replied to every single one. And at the time, I didn't know what it meant, but he was replying to a rental lead the same way he was replying to a $2-3 million listing. And that's just kind of now it clicked for me. I was like, damn, he's really in the service to help people and make a difference. He doesn't really care about the price points, yada, yada. But before I was just like, man, this man really replies to everything. I didn't know what he was doing, but I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he's doing. Obviously, it's residential, commercial sales, and on the brokerage side of things, he does development too. But I was like, I don't know what he's doing, but this is what I want to do. And that's kind of when I was set. I was like, this is it. Real estate's it for me. And every day for the next 9 months, I interned for him for free. Social media, marketing, dropped off checks, picked up coffee, whatever they needed. I was that guy. I was kind of like his right-hand man at that point. And after a while, he told me, you know what, I think it's time for you to get your real estate license. Got my license in 2 weeks. So here in DC, we have Virginia and Maryland right next to us. So you get to hit all 3 states. So I got all 3 states licenses. And literally 2 weeks after I was licensed, he handed me my first client. I was like, hey, you got this. Don't worry about it. I'm here in the back end to help you out, but go help this person out. A month later, I had my first contract ratified. I had my first deal closed. And then it's just been a crazy trajectory since. So 2020, Officially started 2020 May. And then from May to December, I think I had like 5.2 million in sales. And then obviously now 2021 and then 2022, I think 2021, we hit about like 11 mil. And then right now I'm at 6 mil for like, the first and almost second quarter.
And that's amazing, man, because most of those numbers, even seasoned real estate agents never hit those. So congratulations on you doing that, because that says a lot about you and the hard work you're putting into your craft. So congratulations, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. And I wanted to just say something that was interesting. You brought up that, you didn't use an excuse of not knowing real estate to go after that passion. You knew you wanted to do it, and you did something that, to be honest with you, most people in our society will not even try doing that. Working for free, sending a cold email, and then just seeing what happens. And it's interesting because, how old are you, by the way, if you don't mind me asking?
20.
You're 20 years old, and it's amazing to hear somebody like that to even bring that, to even say that they're going to do it for free, because the generations are coming up. A lot of them don't want to do that. They want easy money. They want the easy success. They want the fame, the clout on social. And you just didn't do that. You said, screw it. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to give free value. I'm going to give my value out there, whatever it is. And he paid it forward. And I wanted to ask you, because, the medical field is something that I don't know if, culturally or with everything within the Hispanic community, if like, let's say you go into the medical field and then you want to pivot into real estate, everybody freaks out. So how was that pivot, and what made you actually make that move into that?
So yeah, absolutely. Same. I'm Ethiopian. I actually moved here from Ethiopia only 5 years ago. So, fresh off the boat, and my parents, are very like, go to school, get a good education, doctor, lawyer, engineer. So same thing over here. So for me, it was a lot harder. I would say for me, it was, I thought I wanted to be a doctor because that was instilled in me. And like, that's what I was told, doctor, best way, best route, yada, yada. But then when I started really looking into it and like learning for myself and doing internships and stuff like that. And I'm huge on internships and like just volunteering, just like learning about like real world experience. So you can only do so much in a classroom, like reading books. I feel like you really have to put yourself in there. So just like doing internships and volunteering, I was like, this is cool, but like, I really don't see myself doing this. But I just, I'm like, no, this is what you're doing. There's no other route. But honestly, it was hard. I would say the pivot for me and like the main reason I was like, okay, I'm just going to make the shift. This is it, was my mentor. I feel like Samer Kuraishi was like the biggest influence on me. A lot of people, they ask, so who's your idol, or like who's your real estate influence, like Tom Ferry, yada, yada, Bryan. For me, it's Samer. I didn't even know what real estate was, who these guys were until I got into real estate, yada, yada. But for me, watching Samer work, being with him, I was just like, whatever it is that he's doing, that's what I want to do. And then that's when obviously I started getting into real estate and learning about it. And that's when I really fell in love. I was like, wow, this is the only thing I could see myself doing. And then now it's like, I can't even imagine doing anything else. But yeah, I mean, and again, it's like hard to have that conversation with your parents too. They still kind of like want me to go the pre-med route. They still kind of like push it on me. It's like, hey, like, I know you're doing good, but like still like, like you never know, just go back to school. So it's like, you just gotta like know for yourself, like what you want to do, what you think is going to be the right path for you, and just kind of take it regardless of what, outside factors say.
Well, I'm going to say, keep on going, man. Keep on going. Cause, the fact that you've already gotten to where you're at already says a lot. And, now it's just one of those things where you got to keep pushing forward. You're 20 years old, man. You're crushing it. Right there, you could be a huge inspiration for a lot of other younger folks who you're setting the example for it of hard work and what it means to sacrifice. Like Bryan said earlier, you were willing to put that free upfront value, pay your dues, and then be able to start earning those stripes and get in front of, getting your first client and, making what you're making now. Going into the next step, we're talking about you as an individual, but how'd you start formulating your team? When it came to the actual team itself, how'd you start putting that team together? What were some of the key things that you looked for when putting a team together? And, what are some of the challenges you faced, and what are some of the successes you're seeing now with the team that you have in place?
Yeah. So again, the team was already in place when I came into it. So our main team lead, his name's Hovik. So Hovik is a man, he's honestly taught me a lot of the technicalities of what I know in real estate. Obviously, Samer is more of like a CEO position, so he's not really on the go with clients as much. So I learned everything I know from Hovic. How to negotiate, how to write contracts, all the details of it I learned from him. So it was I joined his team essentially when I first joined, and it was already like a pretty set out strong team. I would say for me, the way I kind of added value to the team or like brought people in was like through social media. We have this new kid, Yassine, who's actually 19 years old, saw my Instagram, got inspired, did the work. A lot of people that they'll DM me, I want to get into it, yada, yada. You'll never hear from them again. You tell them, here's the course, whatever. They'll never finish the course. You'll never hear from them again. They just, like the idea of it. They like to see the sold signs. They think it's all like fancy houses and nice cars. So, a lot of people say they want to get into it, but again, a lot of them are willing to actually put in the work. But this kid saw me. I didn't even know. He reached out to me, just asked me, hey, can I get some advice? I sent him a long voice message, like 3 minutes, kind of just breaking it down for him, and didn't hear from him again. And then 6 months later, he goes, hey, by the way, I just finished my course. Just want to thank you. And then 2 weeks later, I wasn't even the one that facilitated it. He had asked for an interview at One Street, interviewed with our HR department, got a position as an agent. And then I see him and our team meet the next week on our call. And he goes, yeah, I was inspired by Omar to join One Street. I was like, ooh, wait, what? And then I found out who the kid was, checked out his Instagram. I was like, so that's kind of like how I've been using like social media, like you said, kind of like doing what I can to inspire other young people to get into it. Because again, look, it looks really pretty, but it's really not. It's a lot of hours, a lot of work. Like you said, like a lot of agents quit their first year. A lot of agents don't make more than $40,000 a year, some more than 2 to 3 homes a year. So it's not as glamorous as it seems whatsoever. Trust me, you're working all the time, you're stressed all the time, you're always on call. It's just a lot to it. But if you're actually willing to do the work, it will pay off. And like this kid is already putting in the work. He's already working. He's already working with clients. Like now the calls he has obviously he's on my team, he's my personal cell. So I told him, hey, like I want to like whatever you need, like call me. Like, you have a question about, what to do about an appraisal, call me. You want to know what FHA, call me. So like just paying it forward like that, using my social media to kind of leverage people into coming into our brokerage, kind of how I've been getting people like to join the team. But for the most part, it was already established, was already there. Samer and Hovic did all the work and, just kind of came in and added value to that.
Amazing, man. Well, I'm sure you're going to be quickly another rising star there, man. You're going to have your own team pretty soon.
Appreciate that.
So I have something that I wanted to ask you. So, you're 20 years old. You've been in real estate now. You're doing really well. And this is going to be, I guess, your first time, running into a market correction. What is your experience seeing right now where you're at in Washington, in Miami, all these different areas? What are the trends that you're noticing right now? Because back in 2020, 2021, it was ridiculous. Now I'm starting to see, me personally, I'm starting to see a cool down on the market. How are you seeing it, and what do you think it's going to happen the next year or two?
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely not as crazy and hectic as it was. I'll tell you, like for every so I'm mostly a buyer's agent. So I was struggling, you know what I mean? So it's like, it was almost impossible to win an offer for a client. And then it was at some point too, it's like, how high is too high for your buyers? You know what I mean? Like you don't want to ever have a situation where, your clients are underwater or whatever it is. And it's really hard to like time all that and like really give them an exact answer. But I will tell you, like again, a year, 2 years ago, every house had 20 to 30 offers, like not being like literally 20, 30 offers each house. It was ridiculous. All contingencies waived, 100K over asking, 50K over asking, cash offers. It was ridiculous. Right now, I do see it slowing down a little bit, not an insane amount. Each property still has, I'd say, at least 6 to 12 offers. It's still pretty competitive, way over asking. I submitted an offer yesterday for a house in Heightsville in Maryland here. It was listed at $600,000. We offered them $670, everything waived, inspection, appraisal, financing, extremely $100,000 EMD for, a $600,000 house. And we still lost. So it's still pretty hot. The market's still, again, it's just supply and demand. There's just so much demand right now and there's just absolutely no supply. We're way behind on supply. So, I mean, it's still pretty hot, but obviously not as crazy and hectic as it was. I will say for me, talking about a correction or the market readjusting, I feel like the DC market is stronger than others. I talk about how, obviously in some markets, house prices are way higher than what they should be at, or it's way overvalued, overpriced. But I will say in DC market, at least particularly where I'm at and where I focus in, I will say, obviously, price is a little bit more steep than usual, but I don't think we're like in a bubble here. I feel like it's definitely stable at some point, like to a certain extent. I don't think that we're, in a bubble right now and we're going to crash in the next year or two. I know I hear there's a lot of talks on that, but it's really hard to say specifics, but at least for me right now, I do see it slowing down a little bit. Interest rates are obviously like raising, going up, so like that's slowing down buyers. So it's not as hectic and crazy as it has been. But I definitely don't see there being, a crazy crash that everyone keeps talking about anytime soon. And what I kind of tell my buyers too is, to kind of give them ease of mind a little bit more. It's just, especially with the rates going up, it's okay. Look, it's like you either buy now at what 5.25 right now, and I definitely see REITs going up a little bit, at least for the next year or so. So it's like you either buy now at 5.25, or you're going to buy later at 7 or 8% or whatever it is, and then your buying power goes down, because a lot of buyers right now, what they're saying is, hey, I want to wait till this crash happens, and I want to wait, and I want to buy in a year or two. But then obviously, if you could buy a $800,000 house now with this 5% interest, that could go down to to a $650,000 house later, but then your buy power down, because your interest rates are so much higher. Then even though the prices are lower, you're honestly basically paying the same amount. And they're like, oh, we're just going to go back to renting in the meantime. Okay, but then you're spending how much in rent over a year, 12 to 18 months to wait for this crash. So again, there's different ways to look at it. It kind of depends on your goals. How long do you plan on staying in the property? Do you plan on doing a quick flip? Okay, then maybe it might not be the best time to buy. Do you plan on staying there for the next 10, 15 years? Okay, then I think either way, you're good then. So, I mean, hard to say, but that's kind of like what I've been seeing right now.
What type of buyers are you working with strictly? Because if you're working with a buyer that has over, $100,000 to put on the property, are these like international, or these second home purchases? Just to have like some idea.
Yeah, honestly, it's mostly first-time home buyers. I'm working with a lot of first-time home buyers. I actually work with a lot of millennials, like I say. That's kind of like my niche, but obviously I work with anyone and everyone. But yeah, mostly like first-time home buyers. I feel like this year what we've had, I think 15 closings. I think almost like all of them have been first-time home buyers. I think maybe two. I had two that were buying, like that were selling and then buying their second home, but for the most part, almost all my buyers are first-time home buyers. And I feel like that's also because like I'm huge on like the education piece when I work with clients. Like I'm huge on just sitting them down, talking to them about what's going on, how the process works, what are their goals, what are they trying to do, how they can get there. So I'm really huge on that education piece, and I think a lot of first-time home buyers value that and like really enjoy that side of it. But yeah, a lot of my clients are first-time home buyers.
I'm sorry. Are these loans like FHA loans that you're doing, or are they like conventional, or what type of loans are you doing there?
Again, different every time. Mostly conventional. I do a lot of FHA too, VA loans. I don't really have whatever they come with or whatever they qualify for, we go for. But for the most part, conventional or FHA. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, either FHA or conventional, a couple VAs here and there, but yeah, that's mostly it.
So
nice.
Quick question for you, Omar. You mentioned that you work with a lot of millennials, right? And typically a millennials, habit in the real estate market is usually renting. As you can see, most millennials like to rent just because they like to have easier access to move around. If they decide to move, they're more like that. They tend to rent more. Also as well, just because of, most of them don't have the capital in today's economy to be able to purchase. So where are you getting a lot of these millennials, that are able to buy their first home? Where are you finding them? What kind of millennials are them? Where are they? Kind of how do you scout them out? You mentioned social media. Can you kind of walk us through that process?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, again, look, for a lot of these millennials, like you said, they're not, they don't have a lot of crazy capital. Obviously, the one I talked to you about with the Heightsville, it's a different story. They're pretty well off. They both work tech jobs, so I mean, they were able to go 100K over, and also the neighborhood that they were looking in, that's the market that's there. Like you have to go that high. Obviously, it's not like that with every other property, and like the areas, determine how crazy it is. But for the most part, I mean, you only need 3% down to buy, right? So I mean, like my lender, Charlie, DK Mortgage, for my first-time home buyers, they only need 3% down to buy. As long as they have good credit, certain income level, obviously their qualifications that they have, as long as they hit those, they only need 3% down, and then obviously maybe another 2.5% for closing costs. and they can purchase a home. And that's not too bad for a lot of people. I think a lot of millennials have that saved up. Obviously, they might not want to tap into it right away, but a lot of them have it saved up. And again, obviously FHA loans, 3.5% if their credit isn't too good or whatever it is. But for the most part, I get a lot of my clients from my brokerage. So we are local Zillow partners. So we have a flex program. So essentially, anytime someone's on Zillow searching up houses, I get that notification. So let's say you are on Zillow right now, looking at 502 Northwest DC, whatever it is. I get that notification. Hey, this guy is looking at so I'll just go ahead and reach out. Hey, I see you're interested in this property. Do you want to take a look at it? And that's kind of how I started off. Do you want to take a look at it? And just kind of like, don't come at them as like the real estate side of it or realtor side, just like offer to show them the house. Yeah. And then for me, a lot of where I convert is when I meet them in person, because that's where the educational piece comes in, personality, all that good stuff. And that's where we can really connect with people. I don't do any cold calling. I probably should and could probably double my business if I cold call a lot and I'll try to get business that way. But I'm just huge on that connection piece. And I feel like for me, especially, it's a lot easier when I'm doing it in person and really connecting with them, learning about them and their goals. And like you said, a lot of millennials are, leaning towards renting. And that makes sense if depending on your situation. That's why I always like to sit down and say, what's your plan? What's your goal? Obviously, if you are planning on moving the next year, like the next 6 months, yeah, obviously just rent for now. Figure out where you're going to sit down for a little bit, or maybe it's a possibility to where you do still buy and then just turn into a rental. So that's where your goals really come in. What are your personal goals? What do you plan on seeing? What do you want to do? So that's why I really need to have that conversation first with that specific individual, and then shape what I want to do and what the plan is with real estate, depending on what their goals are.
Totally. And since this market has been so competitive, I know you mentioned some of these millennials where, hey, look, if they're putting a much lower down payment coming into it, I'm sure they get the first time buyers, aid. But how are they able to, how long is it taking, and how are you able to really find them a place such in a competitive market where somebody comes in and is putting a higher down payment over asking? How are you doing that?
So again, obviously that comes down to get a good realtor, number one. And then number two, it's tough. I won't lie to you. I won't tell you, we're winning offers left and right. No, we lose a lot, especially with my first time home buyers. 9 out of 10 times we lose the first offer. Because one, they're just getting their feet wet. They're understanding how the market is. Because I can only recommend a certain thing. I'll never tell you do this. I'll tell you, hey, this is what I recommend. This is what it's going to take to win the offer, right? I'll tell you, you need to do X, Y, and Z to win this house. If you do X, Y, and Z, I guarantee you'll win this house. Obviously, that might not work for certain people. So I'll be like, but let's hear what's your take? Let's have a middle ground, whatever it is, to try and make it work to their situation. Obviously, like as a realtor, you kind of know what they need, what sellers need to see in order to get the house accepted, but that might be a ridiculous, over asking price, or, financing waived, or appraisal waived, or free rent back, or whatever it is that they need, and that you figure out and talk to the listing agent and get all the color, and you can recommend, this is what I think you guys should do. So for the most part, it's just, staying consistent and just keeping their head above water. Because after the first loss, after the second loss, they get kind of down. Okay, maybe it's not a good time to buy. Maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I'll stick to renting. So I feel like I always say this as a realtor, you're not just a realtor. You're a therapist. You're a friend. You're whatever they need you to be, essentially. So you got to have that piece to it, to that human aspect of it as a realtor, to really keep those first-time home buyers and keep them in the game. But yeah, for the most part, I won't lie to you, we lose a couple offers before we get to it. I would say an average of 2 offers lost before we get to our ratified contract. So it's not easy at all, especially in this market, because again, there's people coming here with cash offers left and right. There's a lot of investors that are buying left and right. So it's definitely hard, but if they stay the course, we do always end up, making it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing with educating buyers, man. They're going to have to take a lot of L's before they get the W. And absolutely, man. And I've seen that personally, because a lot of them, they watch YouTube a lot. They start hearing all these guys, they think that they have to negotiate like a mobster to get the home. And they don't realize that the one in power right now in this market, right, unfortunately, is the sellers. So it's you have to hit your head against the wall a couple times before they realize, hey, you know what? I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to put in that offer the way that you said it. I'm going to go a little higher, maybe waive some things, and maybe lower the inspection. In your area in Washington, are they building new, inventory, or building more supply over there, or no?
Very little. just very little new construction happening, which again is one of the reasons why it's so crazy out here. I will say like Maryland, Virginia, a little bit more. Washington D.C. not as much as we like to see. There's a lot of flips happening, so that's kind of where a lot of things are happening. Renovated houses, flips, but there's very little new construction, like very little.
So how are they addressing, like, I guess, affordable housing over there? Are they, are they doing like luxury apartments? Because here in Miami, they're affordable housing. Yeah, they're building some, but a lot of them is just high rises. Rents are like $5,000 a month. So, just curious to see how that market looks over there.
I mean, we have a pretty good affordable housing program. Obviously, Section 8 housing. Actually, like Samer and my boss is a developer. He does Section 8 housing. So he'll come into communities and really build it up and then keep those same people there. You know what I mean? So I respect that from him. And I mean, DC government is pretty supportive of housing work. I know that I forget what her name was. But we have a local council member that's huge on like housing rights and guidelines and all that good stuff. So I mean, the Section 8 program down here is pretty good. You can get a decent sized 1-bed, 2-bed apartment building, and you're paying I don't know, maybe like $1,700-1,800 a month, and the government's taking $1,200 of that, so you're paying $500 out of pocket. So there's definitely some great programs out there. Obviously, you have to apply and qualify, and I will say, the process is very rigorous, and I'm pretty sure there's a backlog of some crazy amount of people right now to get on that list, but it's there. Obviously, it's not meeting the demand that's needed for it, but I mean, it's DC's pretty good with it, I'll say.
Now, Omar, I know you said that you guys were shifted over to Miami. You opened up an office here in Miami, right? Mm-hmm. What's the angle that you guys are playing it down here? Versus over there. You guys keeping a lot of the same angle, or are you guys playing at a different angle down here in the Miami market? What are some of the things that you guys have seen already? Just to kind of see what it is that you guys are doing in your process down here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Samer and One Street have built such a great system to where we're literally just picking it up and dropping it in Miami. So we built a system to where, it's going to run efficiently wherever we go in the world. Obviously, we're starting off in Miami right now. We're already in 3 states, going to be our 4th state. So we're literally just picking up, copy and pasting. And again, same goals, helping anybody that needs a place to live, right? So we're not going, we're just luxury or we're just this. No, we're helping anyone and everybody. We do rentals, we do $1 million listings, we do buyers. So we do everything and anything. So that's one thing we're huge on. And that's one thing Samer Kuraishi is huge on. My mentor and CEO is if the price point determines, whether you do the deal or not, maybe this isn't the right place for you. We are huge on just helping anybody and everybody. We're here to actually make a difference. Our whole slogan is real people doing real estate, right? So we don't really have a specific niche. We're just there to, dominate. I will say, I love Miami and I love you guys, but I will say I feel like there's a little bit of a slow and lazy culture in Miami. I know when we tried to see places, it took a week for someone to come out and show it to me versus here, the model we have, if you're calling me right now to see a property, I'm going to show it to you in the next 2 hours. So I feel like we could really kill it down there just because we're very fast paced down here. And that's kind of the people we're building up over there. So that's kind of the strategy that we have as of right now. But yeah.
I think the beautiful weather here gets to people's heads a little bit, and that's what happens.
Probably. It got to me a little bit too. I was like, oh.
Oh, you were getting the effect.
A little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of opportunities here in Miami. It's just finding the
right people.
Yeah, the right niche, the right people to get into because Miami's very priced out right now. A lot of properties here are very expensive. Well, the issue here that we have is that we don't have land. So right now we're very restricted because of the Everglades. So most of the people that do have properties, they're just sitting on it. They have a lot of equity. Probably almost homes are paid off, or if not, they're sitting on probably $300,000 of equity in their house. So the big issue that we have is that there's a huge demand, it's just not enough supply, and the inventory here is really bad.
Yeah.
That's where you catch a lot of people moving up. Yeah, you catch a lot of people moving further up, a little bit further up out of Florida, to other parts of Florida, and even then you're having just Florida itself as a state, it's expensive. Now.
Oh yeah.
Due to
I know Tampa is kind of turning into a hotspot now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tampa. Yeah, Tampa's a hot spot right now. Yeah, and Orlando too. Well, Orlando's been hot for a minute, but Tampa's is getting hot. And are you guys planning to go to Tampa or no?
We are actually, yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
Tampa, we already have a couple of agents down there, so we're really just trying to find a space and build it out a little bit. Yeah,
Well, Omar, there's a ton of millennials, a lot of youth in Tampa, so that's your crowd right there.
that's the goal. Sooner or later, I'm gonna come join you guys down there for sure.
Yeah, come down here and party with us, man.
That's it.
Absolutely, we'll get it, man.
So, Omar, I want to touch a little bit upon, what you've done with your own social media, how have you grown that? What do you say that's a turning point for you as far as like being able to separate yourself apart from other agents in the real estate market within first your own, their own team that you're in, and also as well from other, agents that are out there and other, brokerages as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think social media is a game changer. I feel like whatever you're doing, I'm a huge advocate on like whatever you're doing, just like make content of it, put yourself out there. You never know who you're going to touch and inspire. Two, it's like if you're bringing education and value, people will watch you. Like at some point, like obviously you might not start off with 1 million views or whatever, followers, yada, yada, but people will, start to, build that connection with you, start to listen to you. And you're just helping people out, right? You're not really getting anything out of it. So I feel like if you're bringing value, just making content, putting yourself out there, you can definitely stand out. I would say for me, like, again, having content out there on explaining, what an appraisal is, what a home inspection is, what's the home buying process, that stuff, you would think everyone knows it, but people really don't. So it's just like giving them that information, that knowledge, and just like tapping into a community that, doesn't even think that it's possible to buy a house. I'm like, some people genuinely don't think they can buy a house. So that's why they're renting. So it's like they hear it's like, oh, you just need a certain amount. Like I did a video where I broke down how much you need to buy a $400,000 house, very generically, but like a lot of people commented, oh my God, I didn't know I could do this. Like I'm going to talk to a lender, yada, yada. So it's just like, again, opening up a huge pool of people that you can reach on social media versus just like, whether I'm door knocking, cold calling, I can only reach so many people, right? But I put out a video out there, I could really reach, over 2, 3, 4, whatever amount it is, million people, 100,000 people off of one video. And that video just keeps circulating, keeps going. It doesn't ever stop. That's like me door knocking 24/7 every day for the rest of the time that my page is up and that video is up. So yeah, I mean, I definitely say social media is a game changer. It definitely makes you stand out.
I love that. So that's a big tip on the front end, on the front face of when people come, they see your video, your content, your value. What's a big tip you can give people out there, other agents who are in this field, and they can use your social media on the back end? What's a big tip you can give on the back end of social media for them to start doing to be able to turn their followers into prospects?
Bring value. That's literally the only thing I would say is just bring value. As the educational content is the way to go. Obviously, you could do some fun stuff, trending stuff. Get views, get videos, just be personable and connect with people. But I would say the educational piece is where your viewers can turn into clients, right? That's where they'll be like, they'll come like, hey, what does that mean? Can you explain that to me a little bit more? You slide in the DM, start explaining it to them a little more. They ask you another question, Like, hey, actually, what area are you in? Let's hop on a call. And that's how it turns into an actual lead. And that's how it goes. It's never like, hey, I mean, I've had a couple, it's like, I'm looking to buy, I'm looking to sell, and you get that way. But like a lot of it is just engaging with these people. And then it's like, you're just providing education to them. And then down the road, when they're looking to buy or sell, they're going to think of you. They're like, oh, I remember that guy on TikTok or whatever I see all the time. And then again, you're always staying in their eyes. Like you're always posting, new valuable content. I feel like a lot of realtors right now, all they post is like sold or like a new listing or it's like, no one cares. Like, I mean, I don't care. Like no one really cares. Or if they do, they're just posting a house and it's just like, I don't care about the house. So like what I kind of do right now is if I have sold or like a closing, I'll do a picture with the actual client because one, it just makes it more personable. And then I write a story down. Like my caption is like explaining the process we went through. We failed 6 offers. We went through this. So you really give them a visualization of like the process. And they're like, damn, I could see myself. Like they literally feel themselves being that potential client. I literally had a client tell me, yeah, I saw your video with, I did like a client testimony video with one of my clients. And he was like, I felt like that family was me. Like it was a husband and wife that just had a baby, same situation with him. And he was like, yeah. So I just thought I'd reach out. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to help you. And that's kind of how it starts. So, don't post listings of you just having a house. Like, okay, you have a listing, congrats. I feel like a lot of agents that do that are just trying to show, hey, look, I do business. okay, great. I mean, sure, you do business, but like, do I want to do business with you? Like, why would I want to do business with you? So you got to be personable, got to be relatable, and you got to bring value.
I love that tip, and I always say if you're gonna post something of a listing or sold, put that on your IG story. Don't put
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
really where you should share it, and then the rest should be all connecting content, storytelling content. So great stuff, man. Did you learn this on your own, or did you learn this from other places? Maybe you can drop a few resources of coaches or places that you learned some of this stuff. And if you learned it on your own, then we appreciate the value you
Yeah.
drop.
I mean, I'm trying to. So a lot of it is just like free for all on the go. I'm just learning it. I'm trying to see whose content I watch. I mean, I watch a lot of Gary V content. It's not
Okay.
really real estate related, but he's doing that, post content, always have a camera in your face, put yourself out there, bring value. So a lot of that I got from Gary V. Again, he's not really a real estate person people look at, but definitely look into Gary V. He's huge on social media and like talks to you about the power of social media. And that's why I really, okay, let me double down on this and start taking it seriously. So Gary V, I would say, is a huge resource that you guys can look into if you're trying to get into the social media game.
Yeah, 100%, man. A lot of these agents put very whack, soft content. They're trying to do subtle flexes, and I think they're trying to flex on other realtors. They're not even trying to get clients. So
a lot of us don't know what I've seen agents post like ratified contract or offer accepted. First of all, that doesn't mean anything until it actually closes, because we all know this. Like, it could literally fall through the next day. But then two, it's just like 90% of your followers probably don't know what ratified means. Like, they don't know they don't know. So again, like you said, it's most likely to just flex to other realtors. Hey, look, I do more business than you, or I have this under contract. Yeah, exactly what you said. I agree with that 1,000%.
and that the approach that you're doing is good because you're coming through a place of an educator. You're coaching people. You're showing them what the process is. Do you have like a YouTube channel that you help people out, or everything's through IG?
I do. I have a YouTube channel. It's same thing, Omer Reshid, OmerReshid. But I will say I haven't really posted a lot of content geared towards like clients on there. I actually use my YouTube more towards people that want to get into real estate. So I'm like, hey, this is how you can get into real estate. This is the steps, yada yada. I'm definitely gonna start posting more. I've been slacking on YouTube. I've been focusing on TikTok and Instagram, but definitely gonna start posting more content on YouTube for sure.
So you also do real estate recruiting. You recruit agents as well?
Not at all. No, I don't do any type of recruiting. For me, it's like, again, a lot of my followers and demographics too are a lot of younger people. And for me personally, like, real estate's changed my life, right? I went from a third world country coming here, nothing, to like now living the life that I live and, being able to support my family and do what I do. So real estate's really changed my life, and it's changed the game for me. And I genuinely believe that again, it's not for everyone, but if you're interested in it and you really get into it and really put in the hours and the work, it can absolutely change your life too. So I'm huge on, encouraging people to look into real estate and get into the game. So it's just more of, again, nothing with recruiting. I don't recruit at all, actually, but it's more of just inspiring people to check out what real estate is. It's just like, give it a shot.
Amazing, man. Omar, as we wrap things up, brother, I want to say thank you, and I know Bryan as well might want to say some stuff, but where can people find you? Where can people connect with you? Where can they get inspired? Agents, and also as well, there might be somebody out there who might need your services.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Instagram, TikTok, same username. It's OmerReshid_. So Omer Reshid. You can shoot me a DM anytime. My email is omer@onestreet.one. You can always shoot me an email if that's what you like to do. But yeah, I mean, I try to reply to all my DMs. So if you shoot me a DM, I'm definitely getting to it.
Perfect, amazing,
man. Thank you.
So we're gonna wrap it up with two questions here. Question number one: what is the craziest and wildest experience you've ever had as a real estate agent?
Craziest and wildest experience I've had as a real estate agent. Okay. Do you want me to talk about like deal wise or just like in general?
Just anything, an experience that you're like, holy crap, did this just happen?
Okay, so this is the craziest experience, and actually, yeah, it's absolutely insane to me. I was mind blown for weeks, even to this day. I don't believe it's real, but I got a call. It was from Zillow, and again, a lot of Zillow calls aren't always legit, so it's like you always have to, make sure. Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, so a lot of the calls aren't legit, so you got to always, vet them, yada, yada. But I get a call from this guy. I won't mention his name, but he goes, let's call him John. I get a call from John, and John goes, hey, I want to look at this property tomorrow at 6 p.m. I come in from the airport. I'm coming from the private jet strip, yada, yada. I'll be there at 4 p.m. Just let me know, text me, no, email me. I'm not available via call or text. I'll see you there. Hangs up. I was like, what? I didn't even get a word in. I literally didn't say anything. Just meet me at this property, yada, yada. I look up the property. It's like a $2 million condo in Washington, D.C. at the wharf. And again, the name really didn't show up on Zillow. It was just like some fake, you could tell it was a fake name. And the airport's like, an hour and a half away from me. I'm just like, this isn't real. This can't be real. It's just a scam, whatever it is. I'm not going to take this seriously. But for whatever reason, I'm just like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. It doesn't hurt to see. And I looked up the address he said. It was like a private. So we have the airport, Dulles Airport, the main airport for DC, and then right next to it is Jet Aviation, the private jet strip, right? So I went over there, and it was like at 2 p.m. He said his flight got there too, waited there, nothing. So it was literally about to be 3 p.m. and I'm about to head out, and I get an email from this guy going, "Are you here?" And I was just like, this is so weird. I'm like, yes, I'm here. Like, sure. Like, what's up? And he goes, okay, just got off the plane. If you want to pull up to like the actual, like where the planes are. Because in my head, I've never been to a jet ship. I don't know how this works. So I guess he's just like waiting for me there. So I like drive up, security's like, oh, what's the plane? Whatever. I'm like, I have no idea. He's like, oh, that's the only plane just landed right now. I was like, you can drive up that way. I was, sure. I'm driving up, mind you, obviously, like if I knew it was like a crazy higher end client, I would have, tried to do like some concierge service, drive something nicer. This is me, my Toyota Corolla, pulling up to a private jet strip, and I pull up, and there's an actual guy there, and his name is, let's call him John. And John goes, "You Omar?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Nice to meet you." Literally, like pretends like he knows me. Like we're already vibing. Gets in my car. We start talking about his crazy trips, about DC. And at this point, I'm just like, there's no way this is real, because this man actually came off a private jet, is talking to me like a normal dude. He's sitting in my car. Like, obviously, it's clean, but like driving a Toyota, this guy's got off a private jet. And I was just absolutely mind blown. We go see the condo. He likes it a decent amount. He asked me a bunch of questions. I answered for him. And again, this was probably like the highest thing I've sold at the time. So for me, I was just like, I did my research like the day before, even though I didn't know it was real. I really looked into the building, called up the building, asked all the questions I had about like the condo fees. It was a $2,000 condo fee. So I had to ask all the questions I could ask. I was like making sure I knew everything about the property. And he just shakes my hand. He goes, "I'm still only available by email. I'll reach out to you about this and let you know." Walks out. When he goes out, there's a limo already waiting for him. Gets in the limo, disappears. Never hear from this guy again. 2 weeks later, I get a call, not an email. I get a call from him. "Hey, this is Omar." "Hey, yeah, this is John." And I go, "What's up, John? How are you? Like, nice to hear from you again." He goes, "Yeah, I want to put an offer on the property. Whatever you recommend. Just, I know you know what you're doing, so make it work for me, and we'll get this rolling." Hangs up. I have no idea what his terms are, how crazy he wants to go, wants to go full price. So I just did a decent offer. I think I went like 80,000 below asking, waived a couple contingency except our financing. And then I sent it over to him. I had his email address, sent it over to him, called back. He said, "Hey, I'm doing cash on this. I don't need financing." I was like, okay, cool. I go ahead, change off the offer, do cash, ask him for proof of funds. Sends me a crazy proof of funds where it was like triple digits in the millions. And I was just like, holy shit. So I submit this offer for him. And mind you, this whole time, obviously I believe it now because I see him, I met him, all that, but it's still, I just didn't believe it. I was like, there's no way. I still didn't, it just didn't click for me. And I submitted the offer. We negotiated back and forth, got the offer accepted, got ratified. And it wasn't until he sent over the EMD of like $250,000 that I was like, holy shit, this is real. So that's like the craziest story. We actually just closed on him maybe like a month and a half ago, and he moved into his condo. We're friends now. He took me out to dinner. I took him out to dinner after closing. And that's just probably like the craziest story to me. And it's just kind of like, after that day, I'm like, I don't care what the lead is. I don't care who it is. I'm going to go after it because you just never know. And that's probably the craziest story.
Now, John is a lifer.
Wow. Well, yeah. That's a good story.
That is a good story.
John is the guy.
Yeah. Shout out to John.
So I got one more question. I got the last question. So what's the biggest piece of advice that you leave off to our audience?
Biggest piece of advice I would leave off to all your audience is probably just go for it. As simple as that. I would say whatever it is, whatever you're interested in, whether it's, being a lawyer, doctor, real estate, musician, soccer player, whatever it is, whatever the odds are against you, I would say just go for it. I don't care if you're black, white, curly hair, yada, yada, short, tall, whatever it is, just go for it. And if you really put in the work, like really put in the work, the time, and, you know, you're not quitting after 2 months or 3 months or even a year, whatever it is, if you really commit to something and you think, okay, this is it for me, I would say just go for it, stick with it. And I promise you a couple, you know, whether it's a year, 2 years, a couple months, whatever it is in your scenario, it'll pay off soon. So just stick with it and go for it.
Thank you, brother.
You guys heard it from Omar. Just go for it. Guys, if you got value out of this podcast, if you got a piece of advice here that you can use and apply to today, not tomorrow, not the next day, but today, to improve your life, to improve your business skills, to improve the way you do things, to improve the way you maneuver, I want you to go ahead and apply that right now. If you also got value out of this podcast, we'd appreciate if you drop a like, comment, subscribe, share, because the more love you show us, the more love we can show back. Till next time on the Sweat It Out podcast.